Hi, and welcome to this webinar presentation. This is an abbreviated version of the session held on Wednesday, the 23rd of July. I'd like to extend my apologies to those who were unable to log in on the day. We've identified the issue, and it will be resolved before the next session. I look forward to your future participation. My name is Stephen Dunn. I'm the director and founder of School Incident Solutions and have worked in security, crisis, and emergency management for over 25 years. My background includes 18 years with the Australian Special Forces as the chief instructor in counter-terrorism tactics and techniques. I went on to found Dynamic, a global emergency management company, and more recently led a travel safety and incident management project for Fortescue. Over the past 12 years, I've focused on supporting schools across Australia with their emergency planning and training. This work is now my full-time focus and a genuine passion. If you'd like to explore this topic further, along with other school emergency management insights, feel free to check out my YouTube channel. Let's begin with the 3 core drills that underpin school emergency planning. Evacuation is the most common drill, moving everyone quickly and safely to a designated outdoor area. At the other end of the spectrum is lockdown, used when there's an active threat on campus. In this case, everyone moves into secure rooms, locks doors, switches off lights, and remains silent. Between these two is shelter in place, the most frequently used drill in schools, accounting for around 90% of all emergency responses. It's common because it supports an all hazards, all threats approach, giving school leaders time to pause, assess, and respond calmly. During a shelter in place, staff and students remain indoors with doors locked, continuing normal class activities. The grounds stay clear, emergency services have unobstructed access, and leadership operates in an optimized command and control environment. The information outlined in today's brief aligns with the Australian Standard for Planning for Emergencies in Facilities and supports work health and safety regulations, with a strong emphasis on a risk-based approach. While these frameworks provide the foundation, the guidance is specifically tailored for schools, recognizing that schools are not shopping centers or commercial facilities. There are 2 key differences. First, school leaders have significantly greater control over occupants. Second, those occupants, primarily students, including those with additional needs, have a much higher level of dependency than in typical workplaces. Of our 3 core drills, evacuation offers the greatest variety in how it can be implemented, while still maintaining its core purpose, which is to move people to a ventilated, safe space where everyone can be accounted for. Today, we'll explore some of the methods used to achieve this. Underlying today's discussion is the importance of applying a risk-based approach to fire incidents during school hours. When we look at the data, the likelihood of a fire occurring is low, and the consequences are typically minimal. This is largely because staff are present and able to respond quickly, extinguishing small fires before they escalate. The greater risk to schools lies in after-hours fires, where property damage can occur without early intervention. Our procedures should reflect this reality and be appropriately aligned to the actual level of risk. Before conducting an evacuation drill, it's essential that school leaders understand how their fire systems operate. Many schools have a combination of systems. Some provide automated notification to the fire brigade, some are monitored by third-party providers who notify the school, and others rely on manual call points or direct calls to 000. What matters most is that your team understands how each system functions and what actions are required when an alarm is triggered. Integration into a fully automated system can be costly and, in many cases, unnecessary. The priority is to develop clear, practical procedures based on the systems already in place. Applying a risk-based approach lets be rational about when we press the evacuation button and initiate a full school evacuation. When a smoke detector is triggered, it should prompt a rapid, localized assessment. The first priority is to identify the source and, if it's safe to do so, contain or extinguish the fire before it spreads. Once the situation is either resolved or deemed unsafe, a decision can be made about whether evacuation is necessary. Please note, if an alarm is sounding in a building, that building must evacuate. However, this does not automatically mean the entire school needs to evacuate. A decision should be made based on the nature and location of the incident. If the fire source cannot be identified, or if the fire is clearly out of control, then a full school evacuation is appropriate. Many schools don't have zoned alarm systems, meaning an activation in one area triggers alarms across the entire site. In these situations, once the alarm is sounding throughout the school, a full evacuation is required. It's very difficult to reverse that momentum once it begins. It's also important to recognize that even if an alarm is intended for a single building or zone, the sound will often carry to adjacent areas. This can lead to confusion, with occupants in other buildings responding to the alarm. School leaders need to factor this into their planning to ensure a clear and coordinated response. When an evacuation is needed, a layered notification approach is essential. Alarms provide the initial alert to staff on site. Messaging platforms like Compass or Teams push notifications to mobile devices, reaching staff both on and off campus. Digital signage adds a visual layer, reinforcing the message in shared spaces. This multi-layered system helps ensure as many people as possible are notified quickly and clearly, improving coordination and response across the school.
Evacuate. 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 Move to the emergency assembly area.
Please feel free to reach out if you'd like access to best practice alarm tones or custom-designed digital screens for your school. Alright, let's now walk through the key elements of the evacuation process. Warden zones are a core part of any drill. These should include buildings and their surrounding areas, including car parks. Sentries should be placed at key entry points to deny access, redirect traffic and support the arrival of emergency responders. Duty cards should be wall-mounted and clearly displayed within each warden zone, ideally alongside a high-visibility item like a red hard hat. This system enhances team flexibility by making it clear when a role hasn't been filled. If a staff member notices the hard hat still hanging on the wall, they can immediately recognize that the role is unassigned, take the initiative, put on the hard hat, review the duty card, and step into the role. The school's response team structure should support incidents through two distinct but connected functional groups. Please see a variety of team structures depicted. First, you have your responders, wardens, sentries, and marshals, who provide the tactical response to campus-based emergencies. Then you have your management team, operating in parallel. Their focus is on planning, business continuity, communication, and stakeholder management. The management team is engaged in every incident, whether it occurs on campus, off campus, during school hours, or after hours. The size and structure of a school's incident response team should reflect the school's specific context. Each nominated role is supported by a dedicated duty card, providing clear, concise instructions tailored to that position. These duty cards should be placed in easily accessible locations to ensure they can be quickly retrieved when needed. For smaller schools, staffing all roles can be challenging. This is where the duty card system becomes valuable, allowing staff to transition between roles or, if necessary, hold multiple duty cards and take on more than one responsibility. Storing your duty cards in an incident management plan located in the principal's office is not particularly effective and doesn't support the rapid access needed during an emergency. Establishing a school command center is critical for maintaining effective command and control during any incident, including an evacuation. Ideally, the command center should be located in the administration building and staffed by a small management team. This location provides access to essential systems, including alarm controls, PA systems, telephones, and CCTV monitoring. If you leave this area too early, you risk losing access to these vital tools and reducing your situational awareness. Do not default to evacuating the command center. Only relocate if it becomes unsafe or untenable to remain in the building. A key role in any on-site evacuation is the Chief Warden. They are responsible for coordinating all tactical elements of the school-based response. Supporting them are the wardens, sentries, and, critically, the Assembly Area Marshal. It is good practice to leave the Assembly Area Marshal in charge of managing their designated area, overseeing the formation, headcount, and related processes. The incident controller and the management team should step away from this task so they can remain focused on their broader responsibilities, including planning, communication, and coordination, without getting drawn into the headcount process. When establishing your emergency assembly area, carefully consider its location. It does not need to be far from the school. In fact, it's often preferable to position it within the protection of the school's perimeter fence. There's a common misconception that the assembly area must be a significant distance away in case a building is fully engulfed in flames. This scenario is highly unlikely, and if conditions change, you can always relocate. But for practical purposes, and to ensure the safety and supervision of students, it's best to keep the assembly area within the school grounds. The school should identify an alternate assembly area, preferably still within the school grounds. This location should not be visible from the primary assembly area, ensuring appropriate separation and distancing between the two sites. In rare circumstances, such as a bomb threat, the school may need to conduct an off-site evacuation. In such cases, an off-site evacuation area should be pre-identified. Ideally, this location is within safe walking distance and has access to shelter, toilet facilities, and drinking water. It should also be suitable for supporting vehicle access and pickups as part of a parent-student reunification plan. Larger schools may benefit from implementing a muster point system. Rather than evacuating the entire school to a single emergency assembly area, only the affected blocks relocate to nearby muster points. This approach is especially effective during supervised periods, which make up around 70% of the school day. In this system, staff report to the designated muster point marshal and simply advise if there are any absentees from their class. The muster point marshal also notifies the chief warden of any visitors present in their area. This process is significantly faster, safer, and more practical for larger schools with sprawling campuses. During unsupervised periods, such as recess, lunch, or before and after school, a full evacuation to the primary assembly area remains the most appropriate approach. This should be announced via the public address system and communicated clearly to all wardens. This two-step approach to evacuations is a far more practical solution for larger schools. However, it does require training to ensure staff and students understand both the muster point process and how to transition into the primary assembly area when required. While most schools nominate a primary and alternate warden for each zone, muster point marshals are appointed on the spot by the warden. The role is simple, static, and easy for any staff member to perform. The marshal and warden work together as a team within their designated warden zone to ensure accurate reporting and coordination. We know that lifts should not be used in high-rise buildings during a fire, as automated systems will often shut them down. Even if they remain operational, there's a risk they could open onto a floor with smoke or fire. However, this approach should be reconsidered in school settings, particularly when dealing with simple lifts that travel only between a ground and first floor. In cases involving students with disabilities, using the lift may be the safest and most practical option, provided there is no immediate threat and appropriate checks are in place. If you would like a simple lift risk assessment tool to support rapid decision-making in these situations, please feel free to reach out. Let's now discuss the use of emergency equipment. Fire blankets and extinguishers are positioned throughout your school in key locations and clearly marked on your evacuation diagrams. Staff should be encouraged to use this equipment when safe to do so. There is no national certification requirement for its use. Anyone who is competent and confident should be able to step in and provide early intervention. While certified training is certainly beneficial, it should not prevent non-certified staff from acting when appropriate. To support this, I've developed a simple, all-staff training video that explains how to use fire blankets and extinguishers, along with posters designed for high-risk areas such as kitchenettes and home economics rooms. If you'd like access to these tools, please feel free to reach out. I also produce modern, stylish evacuation diagrams tailored specifically for school environments. If your school needs support in this area, don't hesitate to get in touch. To wrap up, effective evacuation drills require layered alarm systems, clear roles supported by duty cards, flexible communication systems, and a risk-based approach to equipment and mobility needs. The muster point system is ideal for large or complex campuses. Communication underpins it all. Ensure the right people receive the right information at the right time. If your school needs help developing or refining its emergency plans, whether you're in WA, Queensland, New South Wales, or South Australia, I'm happy to assist. Thanks again for joining me today.